Welcome, note investors. I'm Dave Putz from JKP Holdings. And this week, Nathan Turner and I were joined by Candace Horne. She's a newer note investor who's attended a few note conferences, but shares her journey from beginning a note investor to owning a few assets. We discuss some of the issues and struggles she's had, some advice you'd give, how to get over some of the hurdles that she's gone through, and some great pointers of what to do when you first begin. We also share our upcoming 5-week education class Nathan Turner and I will host starting October 25th. This class will be 5 weeks of intense learning with homework, tons of resources. So be sure to check out our website to learn more. Hey everyone, Dave Putz here from JKP Holdings. Alongside me as always, Mr. Nathan Turner. What's happening, my man?
It's morning. I'm still getting used to that, but yes, it's morning where I am. It's been good. Yeah. It's been good.
We've had conferences starting up, right? We had a lot of fun stuff happening. I'm really excited about where things are going. Things are kind of starting to open up too, like notes and stuff like that. We're seeing more portfolio tapes coming out. Assets are coming more consistent. I just read on one of the articles I get in my feeds about like August was increase that was pre-pandemic. So I'm kind of curious about that whole thing.
Yeah.
I am very interested to see what will trickle down in the future. So
yeah, really interesting. I actually just got home last night from the IMN conference. It's kind of the fall conference season.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating. It was really interesting to hear all the different panels, and I was surprised that not everybody thinks we're going to see a huge increase in notes. There were some up there that were saying I probably.
Oh, we're losing Nathan for a minute.
So we'll see what happens here.
Cool. We left for half a second and lost you, but yeah, I was at Noteworthy, and the conversation for us was there's just shift going on somewhere with anything right now. Something going on. We don't know what to look like, but something's happening, right? Yeah. We're seeing interest rates going up. Obviously, we're seeing money market CDs increasing, which is a curiosity of what's happening. So I think that we're expecting something to happen. The problem is we don't know what that something is, right?
Well, and what the fallout will be.
Very true.
And then we'll just kind of have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're overdue for market correction that should have happened a couple of years ago. So
huge. And we don't know what it look like. It may be residential, maybe commercial, and maybe whatever, right?
Right.
So it's interesting you say that we're sharing with everyone else. I was at Noteworthy last week, and for those who are affected by the hurricane, we're hoping you guys are all safe.
Yeah.
If you're not, hopefully, if we can help out in any way, let us know. It's pretty devastating what we're seeing from afar. So if you need help, if we can do anything, let us know. Please reach out. Being Noteworthy was really exciting to be around the group. We had about 80 people in attendance, which was really actually good. We're hearing from a lot of attendees about how awesome it was for the intimacy, being able to talk to people. So that was really cool, and whatnot.
Good.
One thing I wanted to bring up too before we get to our special guest today is that Nathan and I are running a really awesome 5-week class that's going to start the October 25th. We're going to be talking about really deep diving stuff. So if you are a newer note investor who's got some basic knowledge, who's looking for the in-between, I would ideally say reach out and look to us. You can bring a partner on for half off and whatnot, but this is ideally for those people who are regular, started notes investing, 1 or 2 notes, 3 notes, or took a beginner class and looking for the next step.
Yeah. If you've got some kind of basic knowledge, you've read some books, did some videos, whatever it might be, and then just looking to just dive in and get the confidence you need to actually get into this. It's a fantastic business. Yeah. There's lots of room for a lot more players. So we're excited to be able to share what we've learned over the last several years.
Yeah.
And just see what we can do to help.
So in the class will be 5 weeks. They're going to be intense, right? There's going to be homework assignments. We're going to go through collateral files. If you find a problem with it, that's going to be a homework assignment. So you're really going to have live action doing stuff like this.
A lot
We're
of
also going to
hands-on.
provide resources that you've never seen before that we don't share publicly ever. And we'll explain why in the course, but there are things like statute of limitations, debt license stuff, big calculator stuff. So it's a really good course and whatnot. So that's going to be Tuesday, October 25th. You can sign up on the website. If you have questions about that, reach out to one of us and ask about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This class came out of a conversation we had in Las Vegas. Right. So we were sitting in Las Vegas talking, and we were approached by a few colleagues who are in the space and whatnot. And the question was, we've gone through basics, we have the knowledge of that stuff, we just didn't know where to step to, right, Nathan? And we just kind of collaborated and said, what could we provide?
Yeah.
So what we found was that the basic knowledge is easy, understandable, but then it was the, how do I do due diligence correctly, systematically? How do I filter tapes down easily or faster? Because I can know what I'm looking for, just don't know how to do it faster or systemized. And we were going to, that's where this came from, right, Nathan?
Yeah. Yeah. And we're just, again, there's a lot of really great courses out there. I've got one, Dave's got one.
There's tons.
Mostly it's geared towards kind of basic knowledge, and that's great. And you've got to have that basic knowledge. I was talking with a friend at the IMN conference where we're saying notes is not like real estate investing, where in real estate investing you can be like, okay, let's go out and buy a house and rent it out. And pretty much anybody can do that. Yes. For notes, you've got to have more information. You've got to have more training. And so that's what we're offering here is to give you that training, because it's not like real estate. You can't just go off willy-nilly. You've got to know what you're doing to get.
And the research we're providing will be immense. So you're going to benefit from that. The homework assignment is geared for those people who want to learn on the job kind of thing and say, we're going to a deal. You're going to have to break it down and figure out the problem and give us a homework assignment back before class. Yeah. So it's really, really, really intense. So it's really cool. But we wanted to bring on our special guest who introduced us to this whole world of bringing on this idea of bring new investors who got basic knowledge into the space, but then bring them on and say, let's bring them to the next level. Mm-hmm. So Candace is joining us today. She's not a new investor, right? She's done a few deals. Candace, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for inviting me. I love your podcast, and I've listened to a ton of episodes since I met you and have learned so much.
Good.
So how'd you get started with notes? How'd you get involved? How'd you hear about this world of notes? Were you landlording? What were you doing?
Yeah. So you guys know me, we're friends, but for everybody who doesn't know me, I'm a solo parent. And a few years ago, I was looking ahead to this time in my life. You know, my youngest son just went to college. And so I knew that I would be ending up with a lot of free time. And if you have kids, you know, there is no such thing as free time. So like, what am I going to do with my life?
1 second. I'm sorry. They're saying they can't hear us. So let me figure out what's going on. I apologize, guys. Let me see what's happening. 1 second. I apologize, everyone. Hopefully there's more sound, Cindy and all that stuff. I was not looking at the chat comment. I apologize. Hopefully you guys can hear us now, and it's better. If you can, let us know. Hopefully.
As always, we record it though. So
yes, always go back and check it out and figure out what's going on. Still no sound. Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. Check 1, 2. Let's see. That should be 1, 2. There we go. That looks better. All right. I'm not gonna start from the top. We have this recorded, right? So I apologize, everyone. So hopefully you hear that. Stacy, Cindy, Theodore, Marco. I appreciate you guys chiming in there and letting us know that we're having a problem. So hopefully that fixed the problem. Hopefully that corrected the issue. I'll just wait for quick responses on that. Yay! Thank you, Marco, for informing us. So
Good stuff.
Go back real quick. We're gonna summarize real quick. We started some beginner courses. We know that people start beginner courses, but a lot of people want the in between. And what me and Nathan created was a 5-week course on how to go from the beginner stuff to more advanced stuff. Collateral file homework. You're gonna be homework, rolling down tapes, bid calculations, stuff like that. We're gonna give you homework assignments. So this 5-week course will start on the 25th of October, Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. You can learn more at our website. You can take a look at it. We'll post in the comments below. And that's a 5-week intense course where you can bring a partner for half off. So
Come and join us.
back to Candace. Candace is one of the people who came up with this idea for us to start off with, for those people who has done a deal or two or has done beginner course, but wants that next level, right? So with that being said, Candace, welcome back to the program, right? I apologize, I hadn't restarted. It was a button unclick. So, Candace, how did you get involved with the notes and all that good stuff?
Yeah. Everyone's going to eventually hear what I first said, but I'm really big on living your life by design. And so a few years ago, I was finishing up graduate school. I went back to school after my kids started school. I'm a solo parent. And as I said, like if you have kids, there's no such thing as free time. And I knew that in a few years, I would be having a lot of free time. My youngest son just went to college a few weeks ago, and I like to look a few years down the road. So like, what am I going to do with myself? I had a lot of ideas. Am I going to go back to school and get my PhD? Am I going to get an MBA? Like, what am I going to do? One of the things I was interested in was commercial real estate investing, and I wanted to learn more about that. I'm in my mid 40s, and as much as I love school, I knew I would not want to be doing homework and research and writing a thesis.
Yeah.
I want to take the summers off. I want to work in my garden. I want to travel, and working for someone else or being in school doesn't allow for that. So I'm like, well, let's learn about commercial real estate investing. I know some people in office and hospitality, and I was in a room about maybe 5 years ago where I heard about a development deal. I'm like, well, that sounds interesting. And I said, is there a way I can get in on this? And they're like, oh, funding's closed. And the next year when I was in the room, like I had done a little more research, because in the conversation, I heard a term that was totally unfamiliar to me, and that was accredited investor. And I went home and was like, I knew that I'm like, next time I see these people, I'm going to be prepared with some better questions. Well, I learned that I was an accredited investor.
What?
Right. I'm like, okay, well, this is a new, like, I don't know what that means, but apparently there will be some options for me. And so I went back the next year and had some better questions and said, hey, is there anything else like this happening that I can get in on? Like, surprise, like I'm an accredited investor. Mm-hmm. And, can you point me in a direction that I can learn? I'd been in school, so I didn't have 2 years of full-time employment. I wasn't going to qualify for a mortgage to buy a rental property, for example. And I didn't know the term leverage as it applied to real estate, but I knew that's what I wanted to do with my money. And so, like, I'm not trying to put a couple $100,000 into a condo and, get $600 a month. Like, how can I make it grow? Well, I learned two things that day. I didn't really get the guidance I was looking for from that person, which is okay. They've become one of my biggest supporters. Like, they didn't really know what my vision was. I didn't really know what my vision was. But it led me to look for places where I could learn and grow in this space. So I looked for a women's real estate investing group, and I found one that was having a 3-day seminar like a week later, which was awesome timing. And I went to that seminar and learned about all the different asset classes and ways to invest. I learned about syndications, buying land, and this really weird and confusing thing called notes. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. If you've never heard of notes, like, nobody's heard of notes. everybody has a mortgage. Nobody has heard of notes.
Right.
So it's very strange. I dug into a couple of areas of real estate, and that was one that really aligned with what I want. We have freedom and flexibility and options and how to pivot. And that's what I loved about notes. So that's where that's when I started investing in my own education started. And then, 2 or 3 years later, here we are, and I have a few assets under management, and I'm not brand new, thank goodness, but I am newer and learning every day.
And there's a lot to learn. And we've talked about this before, Dave, where it's hard to, if you're teaching notes, it's hard to say, here are all the possible things that could happen, because they're limitless. Everybody's got a story, everybody's got their own situation. And in a lot of cases, it's really a case by case situation. And then like, okay, so what do you do here? And it's a different situation because it's a different person, it's a different asset class, it's a different state, it's a different county. And a lot of it is just kind of on the job training, and you just kind of figure it out as you go. But that's one of the things I love about it, is that it's different and it's exciting, and you never know exactly what way it's going to go, which can be fun. It can be frustrating, but it can be fun.
So Candace, what about note investing was so attractive to you that you would switch away from your goal, which was commercial real estate? What was it about notes? Was it one thing, two things, or was it a person, like someone came around, like really kind of held you and said, this is the way to go?
A combination. My education has come through our friend Paige, and she does an amazing job educating, and I gained a really solid foundation and kind of went through all of her levels of program. So that was the start. But it's like, this is a relationship business, at least to me. And so it's like, who do you want to align yourself with, and who do you feel good about learning from? But from the notes aspect, I really like that there are all the ways to pivot. That makes me feel safe. Mm-hmm. If plan A doesn't work out, we can have a plan B, C, D. And that really works for me. I like that flexibility and those options. So that's what I love about notes, and the ability to scale.
It's very much a thinking game.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, this didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. And then, okay, so what else could we do? And you get creative, and it's very collaborative. You can talk to me or Dave or anybody. You can talk to just about anyone. And it's a very open community, and we like to share ideas and war stories and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That has for sure been one of the greatest things. If anyone newer is listening, go to conferences. This year was my first year going to conferences. I met Nate at DME and met Dave a couple months later in Las Vegas. Get in the room and learn from people, because everyone is so nice and helpful and will totally bring you along. And I'm glad to be, joining that group of people who can be helpful to whoever's a few steps behind.
So there's a lot of people who've said to me, I'm very intimidated by conferences, right? I don't want to go there. I don't know much. I'm going to be around a bunch of people who talk probably way above my level, that have millions of billions of dollars that I just don't. What do you say to those people who say conference is a big deal? Is it a big deal?
Oh my gosh. I've only told a couple of people this, but now I guess everybody can know. I was terrified to go to my first conference. I mean, I knew Paige and I knew the people that I'd gone through her education with and have some friends. Nobody I knew was going to be there. And I almost didn't go. And I just said to myself, literally, Candace, if you're going to do this, you have to do this. And are you doing this or you're not doing this in your life? And I went, and my strategy was find someone who looks nice and sit next to them. A lot of what I heard at the first conference, and even, every time, there are always going to be smarter people in the room than you. There are always going to be people who are talking about things you don't know. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's how you learn. So most people are really friendly. Stand around in a group, say hi, introduce yourself, and take notes, because the list of what you want to learn about is just going to grow. That's okay. To me, that's kind of the whole purpose.
And it's interesting too, when you get into a conversation, we kind of talked about this at the beginning. You can get in conversation and you're going to get different points of view and different opinions, and that's good. And you want to have as many different opinions and points of view as you can, so that you can say, okay, so that you can start to kind of put those pieces together and say, so in this situation, I could do that, or this, that seemed to work for this person and that didn't work for that person. And that's all part of the education, all part of forming where you're going to go.
Yeah. And like with that said, like a lot of people ask the question, well, should I go first or seconds? You're going to talk to a bunch of people who do all kinds of stuff, right? Is it overwhelming at first?
Yeah, yes, because I know I have a solid foundation in the notes business, but you can't learn about all the parts no matter where you get your education from. And so I did go to the conference, and here I learned about partials. I learned about, page doesn't do first, and there are reasons for that. And then there are these people who are seconds. Then there are people who only do seconds. I'm like, well, that's a new perspective. Yeah, it's a little overwhelming, but when you're new, like the shiny object syndrome, like everything's amazing, exciting. And it is like, that's the great part of this.
Yeah.
You don't have to do everything. And hearing about these things that everyone else is doing, at least for me, is really helping shape what I want to do and how I want to grow my own business. It's a wonderful thing. You can't pick everything. That's okay. Figure out what aligns for you and what you want. Are you doing this as an investor? Are you doing this as a business? There's no wrong answer.
Right. Yeah. A lot of it is just personal preference, what fits you best, and go for it.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. So do you have a favorite conference?
Yours, obviously.
That was a leading question.
If you all don't know, Nathan is hosting the DME in a few months, and I just told him, like, I haven't scheduled a trip to Portugal with my brother until I knew when his dates are. Every couple of weeks, he's like, "Do you know when it's happening yet?" I'm like, "I don't know," and I'm going to the DME next year.
Yeah.
So everybody should go and support Nathan.
And yes, come to mind, but go to anyone.
All of them.
Go to all of them.
I just was with Dave in Orlando, and that was my third conference of the year, and I have 2 or 3 more coming up this year, and every single time, like, life changing.
And you meet different people. I mean, I've been doing this for years, and I just met some new people at IMN that are going to be great partners, and we're going to have, we're going to do some really cool things together. And that's, so many years later, and I'm still meeting new people and getting new ideas and things. So it's great. Go to conferences. Go.
If anyone is feeling overwhelmed about the idea of going to conferences, the way I look at it is, I don't need 1,000 friends. I just need 10 really good ones. You don't have, my first conference, like I said, I was so nervous. Literally, my only intention was like, if I exchange business cards with 5 people, it will be a success. Well, I walked away with some people who are going to be friends for life and business partners, and set your intentions small. Have the goal to meet 1 or 2 people. That will be worth it to you, and you grow from there. Build your confidence from there.
I actually did the exact same thing. I'd forgotten about that, but my first conference, I was like, 20 business cards. I'm going to give out 20 business cards. That is my goal. And I got it. And it just balloons. It goes from there.
Yeah.
So people get in the space and they get completely overwhelmed in different directions. If you restarted right now, how would you get to where you are today, I guess, faster? Do you think that you need to learn all these little parts to get to where you are? Or was there a fast track that you could have used to get to, I'm going to buy this note based on some kind of, hey, my personality said this, this, and this, I'm going to go this direction?
I think I'm moving pretty fast. I did kind of my big advanced education at the beginning of 2020, like the first half of 2020. And then last year, people ask you, like, when you get in the space, everyone will say this, when you're looking for assets, they're out there and you find them through relationships, but people are going to want to know, what are you looking for? And you need to know why. And people ask, like, how did you learn about notes? How did you get into it? And I've heard a lot of people say, like, not to me necessarily, but why, if you learned about this 3 years ago or 10 years ago, why don't you have a note yet? What's the delay? I didn't get active in notes last year because it was a big licensing year for me in my other profession. And so I was balancing building that business. But I was totally ready to go. So I knew that as soon as this year started, that would be it. And then as soon as I started, I mean, I have closed on one, and I've originated 2 notes. One was commercial, and that exited pretty fast. That was securing collateral for a bridge loan. And then I purchased 5. I just closed on 2 more assets yesterday. So
Nice.
I think I'm going pretty fast, but definitely get your education. You know, there are so many places. Ask questions. I think what holds a lot of people back is fear.
Yes.
And, you know, I was thinking, you know, you said like, we're going to talk about your journey and then what hurdles you've overcome. And I was thinking, you know, what hurdles have I overcome? Fear was a big one.
Fear of what though?
Losing money, losing my kid's future. Not
Pretty noteworthy into it. I like it.
Not trusting, you know, not getting aligned with people who are trustworthy. I don't worry about that too much because there are a lot of great people, and you know, just got to follow your intuition there and ask questions and ask around. But you know, how do I not mess this up? And I've had some great mentors, but before I took action, I was asking a couple of friends and my financial advisor, my accountant, like, how do I not mess this up? How do I not lose what I have? And I received the best advice that allowed me the kind of the piece to move forward. And they said diversification and due diligence. Okay, well, those are 2 things that are in my control.
True.
Right? We can learn how to do thorough due diligence, and we can choose not to put all of our eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
And that's what helps me sleep at night. And so that's what helped me move forward. So 1, get some education, make some friends, and move through your fear. Small steps if you need to, but just do your first deal. Like, I just need to get my first deal over with so I can start learning the lessons and, you know, move forward smarter.
Yeah, Stacy Michelle said in one of the comments here is that you're not alone. She was terrified in attending the first event too. I soon realized it was not. It wasn't what was in the head of, oh my God, I'm going nuts. This is going to be overwhelming. So Stacy, thank you for sharing that. We were talking at the conference too about this, and this is Nathan and I have said repeatedly, is how do you find out who's trustworthy, who's not? And what notes is really different from a lot of sectors is we're real small. So if you ask any 3 or 4 people that you see repeatedly around about a certain person, you're going to get a response that are usually pretty common, either yay or nay, right? But so you get that confidence in who you're talking with before you get into it. And the other parts are confidence builder, right? If you're confident in your due diligence, if you're confident in your analyzing, and you're confident in your math, it actually comes about to reduce your risk, not eliminate, but reduce it.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious, Candace, now, so you did a bunch of training and you learned a bunch of things, and then you bought a couple of notes. Have there been any surprises, any things that you were like, oh, I didn't learn about that?
You know, when we do a follow-up on this in like 6, 9, or 12 months, I bet I'm going to have a lot of lessons to talk about on these like 6 or 7 assets. I just know it. It's like waiting for the lessons. The things so far, you know, I learned a little bit about how foreclosure, for example, or bankruptcy can play a role in the note space. Those are huge areas on their own. Insurance, huge area on its own. I'm sure I heard about statute of limitations, but that's not something that I had retained. I'm like, okay, well, this is something I need to brush up on.
Yes.
In, you know, over the last couple of months that I've been dealing with these assets, like you send someone out to do an inspection and they don't do it as fast as you're expecting. Like, gotta be on top of things and follow up and allow some margin for things not progressing at your own timeline. So those are some challenges right now that I'm
So
learning.
one of the biggest questions we get from newbies is, where do I find assets at? How difficult was it for you to find assets? Because that's something we don't crack, right? It's hard to crack into that
Right.
world. How did you find assets the first couple you were buying? Was it through a mentor, through someone you knew, or through a tape you saw? And B, when you got that note tape, how did you work through it and know what you wanted?
Right. So I'll start with the second part first. I already knew what I wanted because through my education and training, like what's your buy box, why, know your why. I already knew what I was looking for. And I have I don't know if it's a calculator or whatever, like a big spreadsheet analyzer that breaks it down. You know, I put in the assets and that helps me narrow it down. But if it's a smaller group of assets on a tape, like I can look because I'm organizing by state, I'm organizing by, you know, securing collateral value. That's going to be how I narrow it down first, and that eliminates a bunch. So those are my criteria. Yeah, how do you find assets, man? It's like the one secret. Nobody's going to tell you. But they're you know, they're out there. As someone who didn't grow up in this space, like, oh my God, the amount of money available in the room is like, my brain doesn't even go that big.
Yeah.
But obviously, like our friends who do paper stack, right? They're online market, like trading. I don't know exactly what that's called, but like trading platform. That's a great place for new people to look.
Yep. I agree.
And see who's on there. Like reach out. Hey, can I ask you some questions? Get to know people. I hate saying the same things that I hear from everyone else, but it really is the way. One of the ways that I found that I got my first couple of notes was through relationships. You know, a couple of people that I had known for a few months independently said, you know, what are you looking for? And I said, look, I'm really trying to get a couple of notes purchased so I can get learning about this in real life. And I have this capital, and like that's what I'm ready for. And one of them said, maybe, you know, let's partner. And, you know, you have some capital, I have some capital, like I'll bring you in, like, let's look at a tape together and see what we can buy together. Partnering is an awesome idea. I've offered that to people who I know that are, you know, at my level or below, like, let's do this together. And then the other one was, they said, look, I have a tape. I can't buy anything off of it right now. So like, let me broker these to you, which was amazing. Like the biggest favor, because I really was hoping for that timing to come through, and that helped me get going. And since then, you know, I've had other people reach out to me and say, I know you're doing this. Like I have this asset. So I get calls and emails about that, kind of from random sources, just literally just from meeting people and making friends.
And you know what? That's a big deal. If people know that you're for real, you've got money and you're actually ready to perform, that's a huge plus. Because the tire kickers are not worth the time, honestly. And I know that kind of sounds a little bit harsh, but people want to deal with people that are ready to go and are actually going to do what they say they're going to do. And so when you've got that and you're ready, then you get calls. People reach out to you and say, hey, I heard you got some money that you want to spend.
Right.
Do you want to buy what I've got to sell?
Yeah. And you know, everybody doesn't have like, oh my gosh, so like, we know that deals are out there, but then when they really do start coming across your desk, it's like, I just want more money to, like, it's hard to let deals go by. So one of the things, like, how do I build my network? How do I pass these along? How do I make this happen? But that does happen for sure. And if you don't have your own capital, like, figure out who you're going to partner with, get a JV agreement set up and have that ready to go. So you can just say, I'm looking to buy. If you have anything, let me know. I hope it's as simple as that.
Were there any gotchas that you didn't realize when you got into your notes and you actually live do it? You're like, oh crap, like I'm a little underconfident in this area where I don't know. Was there any of that stuff? And what did you do to get over that hurdle?
Oh man, I'm terrified. I think I fought well. Like, we'll see how they exit. This last weekend, I was sharing that, and someone who's been doing this for decades said, look, the problem, like, your experience is going to stay the same even as your level grows. You know,
Yeah.
if your stomach doesn't turn a little, like, you're not an investor.
Yeah.
So I definitely, in those areas I mentioned, like foreclosure, insurance, bankruptcy, really want to learn a lot more about that. You know, the legal side, you know, when you have to deal with the attorneys about the stuff that comes up with borrowers, like, I want to learn more about that. Even if that's not my role in the business, I want to be educated so I can, you know, manage that part with whoever I'm partnering with.
What assets have you bought so far? First, seconds? I know you bought
Only
a
first.
Yeah.
Yeah, only first. So I'm looking at my whiteboard here because I got everything so I can see easily.
Nice. That must
Yeah.
be, yeah, that's awesome.
So what was your question? What assets have I bought?
Yeah, what kind of assets? First, seconds, performing, non-performing?
Yeah, I looked at first non-performing, and all of these happen to be vacant with the deceased borrowers, and they're in foreclosure. So I like REO. I'm really happy with REO. I know everybody doesn't like that model, but it totally works for me. So even though that's not what I was expecting to start with, I'm loving it. A couple of the assets I will hopefully price at foreclosure so that they'll go, because I mean, I want to turn my money faster, but
Yeah.
a few of them I'm going to keep. So, and then originate notes from there. I think that's what I really like.
Which is also really fun. I like originating.
Yeah.
That's good. We got a flattering and potentially embarrassing comment. You ready?
Oh, who's it from?
Marco
Marco?
Barrio.
I love you, Marco. Let's have it.
Marco says, I had the opportunity to work with Candace on a potential deal. She has integrity. That's number one for me when choosing a partner.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. There's a
you
lot
so
of
much.
great people in this space,
Yeah.
and no one's better than others. It's just different experiences.
Yeah.
And talking to everyone's a key thing. You know, people say, well, I listen to this person. Listen to everybody. There's so much knowledge out there, and it's all based on experience, based on what they've done, right? You could take someone that I've never dealt with, that I've never done with something with, and they're brand new, and they could teach me things.
Mhm.
That's the cool part about this. Your first deal, you probably didn't have this fancy dancy calculator like we all have and all stuff. How did you pull that trigger and actually make that purchase and feel confident, or 50% confident that you're doing the right thing?
So, I mean, it's probably a calculator. I didn't build it, right? I got it from my training program. That's something that I paid for. What I have learned is that I don't understand how it works. And I know that, oh my God, Dave, my brain is not, you're just a freaking numbers genius. Like, you talk fast, you think fast, you know how numbers work. That's something that I want to learn to figure out, because I have this tool which will break it down for me, but I want to learn what's behind it so that I can make adjustments myself and things like that. So that helped me because I already knew what I was looking for and I had guidance. So, you know, the person who's like, let me arbitrage these with you, I asked, hey, this is what I'm thinking for a bid range. How does that sound to you? I don't know what people are bidding. I don't know if people talk about that or not, but I don't know what things are going for right now. And so I said, here's what I'm thinking. They said, that sounds good to me. And it ended up working. So that's how I felt confident at first, but honestly, not 100% confident. It's scary. Like, how is this going to go?
It is scary. It's money that you're putting out, and with the potential return somewhere down the road, you know, 3 months, 6 months, 18 months, you know, we don't know. And that's kind of the exciting part, but kind of the scary part, especially at the beginning, where you don't have the hands-on experience to know that, yeah, this really works. It really does.
Yeah, definitely.
So you approached this in Vegas about beginners and newbies and stuff like that. And the insight that me and Nathan gained from that is tremendous, because we don't know what other people don't know. And it's in to talk at different levels sometimes is difficult for us, right? Debbie Anderson said the bid range for non-performing seems incredibly high right now. We're going to talk about that in a minute, because someone actually had a conversation with me yesterday, and we talked about where to what's hot right now, what's the good pricing. So Debbie, good question there. What we found out was that confidence was the core guide to success. If you're confident the fact that I'm going to make a good bid based on good numbers, and then I have a resources and tools moving down the line. I know who my servicer is. I know who my attorney is. My collateral is solid. I can move forward with the fact that the risk level is there, right? So for me, when we had that conversation with you, me, and Lorraine, was how can we help, right? But the problem is, at the same time, that these things get complicated, overwhelming. Like you said, your calculator does. Is there a way for new investors to kind of get into this without being overwhelmed with the calculator? Or are you going to decide like you need to learn this stuff, even though it is complicated?
I think having someone that you can check in with is crucial. Is it a paid mentorship? Is it a buddy that you met on, at Urea, who also wants, who's been doing this? Is it your new group? I love that one of the things you're building is, let's go through this next step together in our 5 or 10 week course, and then have that cohort of people at that level. So I think that's critical. Can I pick up the phone or send an email and like, Jean, like, what do you think about this? Like, am I thinking through this correctly? Or who do you know that does this if I have a question? So important to have somebody to bounce that idea off of. And I think that's critical. Or, there's always the option of, if you're ready to go, or you're almost ready to go, ask someone who's doing it. Hey, can I bring you a deal? Will you walk me through it? You keep I'll bring the deal. You keep the profit, walk me through it so I feel safe, and then I'm going to feel confident. But I think you guys are providing that, and a lot of people provide that in their groups and training and mentorship.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. The network of people, that's why the 5 week we're going to do is that getting together with just not one person, not just me and you, having that brain of power together on a weekly intense basis that wants to succeed just like you do. Is crucial. Why do you think me and Nathan talk off air, right? We need each other to bounce things off of, and just ideas and thoughts and brainiac stuff. So well said.
Yeah, all the time. And we constantly do that. Like we've got our own private Facebook group for our class. We'll do a private Facebook group so that we can just chat together and say, okay, so what are the challenges? What are the things you're coming across? And what are the things that you're wondering about? What does this acronym mean? Anything like that, where you're just not sure. Yeah, there's ways to find out. And if it's part of a group that you joined, where you can have a private group, so you're not putting that out on the World Wide Web and feel like an idiot. That's fine. And then you've got that kind of that safe space to do that. Yeah.
And if you have a question, someone else has the same question. Nobody's just saying it. Yeah, for sure.
Nowadays, ITV's out there, LTV's out there, BTV's out there. These new acronyms are coming out because of the way the market is. And if you don't know what it is and you ignore it, you're going to have problems. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think that with collaborative talking allows you to actually partner with someone without actually partnering with them, right? Allowed you to connect with someone and say, hey, I'm looking to exit this deal. What does everyone think about this situation? And having that confidence and trust in that group to really dive into it and solve those issues. We're talking noteworthy. I think one of the people who spoke that got the most attention was Ken, who literally had the room write down their fear, like true ultimate fear of if I fail, or what your fear is, your spouse, whatever. And it was really cool to see that opening up and that having that true feelings was really crucial. And like Nathan said, we have a private Facebook group of about, 8, 9 investors. We've been doing it for 7 years, and we share our private conversation to each other and bounce real true ideas off of. You need that team, not that person, but that team to really bounce ideas off of, that we may not have the experience or may not be in an area, and you may have someone who has that experience in there.
Well, and we share successes and challenges and failures in there as well. And
Yes.
we always say, "Oh, Gabe, oh,
He's
he's got these
yeah.
amazing
Yeah,
deals."
shout out to
doing.
Gabe
Oh,
Cass, right? Like,
Just-
damn, right? But he's killing it, right? And he's
Yeah.
killing it his own way,
yeah,
right? So it's all different stuff. Stacy made a comment, the best way to partner with someone who's done the kind of deal you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about mentoring and my Facebook group that I'm offering, the person with the most comments, whatever, the 2 weeks we'll do a mentoring, but we have to realize that to partner with me, Nathan, and stuff like that, that's a lot of time of our time, right? And we can't always teach one person for weeks and weeks, because it just doesn't work out well for both sides. It's frustrating. So I agree the fact that partnering is good, but having that collective group is even better. So yeah, definitely look at stuff. Candace, I want to know, now that you're getting experienced and you have this recognition of people, you've been to the conferences, and someone says, I'm stuck, what question would you ask them to figure out where they're stuck, how to get over that feeling of being stuck? Because I don't know what to do. I'm lost. How can they do your professionalism, right? How do you get to that level of, I don't know?
We're gonna settle in, boys. We're gonna have a therapy session. Time for some group counseling. You know, I've been there. I've for sure been there, and I think we've all been there. If you haven't felt stuck, I don't think you're committed enough to the growth. Honestly, or you're just really, really freaking lucky. I don't know anyone like that, but don't tell me if that's you. You know, it's really what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
What don't you know? If things were going the way you want them to, what would be different? You know, like, oh, I don't have anyone to call. Oh, I don't know about this thing that I heard. And I think when you can bring yourself back from the emotion, like name it. sorry, here's the therapist to me, like figure out like what is your emotion. It's like, I'm scared, I'm nervous, I'm frustrated, I'm confused. Okay, great. Acknowledging that. Then it's the facts. It's like we should not be making decisions from emotional place. We should be like figuring out what's real. Okay, what's real? I know some people. I'm in a Facebook group. There's a podcast. Do I know where to go? And I'm scared to do it. Okay. It's just like, I don't know. I think it all comes back to people. Who can I ask about this? If you tell me you're stuck, I'm going to say, how can I help you? I think almost anybody would say that.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think sometimes is walking them through that issue or problem or concern is the key thing to figuring this out.
Yeah. And I think I have more time than you guys do for this right now. And so someone I met at the last conference is a little bit behind me and was talking to me. And I said, look, you know, you're not at the point of buying assets, but you're curious. Like, let's jump on a Zoom. I'll show you a tape I reviewed, and like, I'll show you how I'm thinking about it, and we'll go through it together. I'm not the expert in the room, but I'm happy to share what I know and show you how I'm starting with this, and see where I can direct you, you know, beyond what I know.
Yeah, I think what you say makes a lot of sense, right? I think for a lot of new people, for us, we hear, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do. I can't help that. We need you really to kind of figure that out and help us help you. Right?
For real, you need to know where you're stuck.
Yes. Thank you. Well said.
You need to know what's
Candace
wrong.
we love. Yes. Yes.
But you did, like Ken was saying, like, you have to sometimes dig down a few layers to figure it out. So if you don't know that, when you know what you need, find someone and say, I realize what I need. Can you help me? Or do you know someone who can? Then it's easier.
If you were to do it all over again, you would do the trainings and stuff like that. You would do that formal education, the resources, all stuff. Do you think if you started over again and just didn't do anything, watch YouTube videos, you would be anywhere close to where you are today?
Oh no. No, but you know what? It would have given me, if I had started there, I think I would have had more understanding about the space before I got started. So it might have accelerated that, but no, absolutely not. Um, I mean, like I said, I learn a ton from your podcast. I listen to a few others, and I learn something every single time.
Mhm.
But that's the really slow route to, getting change in your life and making progress in the space. That's the slow route. That's when you're that's when you're driving home from work saying, I don't like that, I want something different in my life. But when you decide that you're serious, that's just not going to cut it for me.
So what is your goal? What's your goal 5 years down the line, right? Where do you see yourself going with this?
Candace, the planner.
Candace the planner.
Hold on, let me go with
Oh my
my
gosh.
notebook. Yes. How long do we
No,
got?
I know exactly what I want. It's just honestly, I'm still developing my idea of how I want my business to grow.
Cool.
But I'm narrowing it in a lot. Like I said, always learning. Every conference I go to, I learn something new. Every person I talk to, I learn something new. I'm starting to really narrow in. I'm not going to end up buying it across the country. I'm going to be narrowing it on about 5 markets and building teams there. And that's what I think is going to work for me. So, I mean, 5 years from now, I'm going to be the girl who's friends with everyone and is making a boatload of money. I don't know.
That's awesome. So if anyone has additional questions before we tune off, please feel free to ask Candace. She's doing this for about a year or so. She's had some education, she has some training, but she's actually jumped in. A lot of people can't say the same. They've had maybe education or attended these conferences or one or the other or neither, and they haven't done anything. And to get started, they have to do something. How, when you're getting into this space, it's overwhelming and whatever. And there's a lot of different people in the sector all over the country. Like Nathan's in Canada, I'm in Jersey, right? It's all over the place. When you go about this whole course, right? How was it for you to connect with others, right? Was it something you were out shooting out to do, or was it something that came natural with the group that you connected with?
I feel really fortunate that I found that educational group that was just about real estate in general, because it connected me with a lot of people, and it was designed like there was a small group component that a lot, that you guys have, that a lot of trainings have. So that helped me for sure. And then I kind of narrowed in my niche from there. But will you repeat your question?
Connecting
we
with
asking?
others. A lot of people either standoffish.
Oh, right.
How was it for you?
I'm always a little nervous about that, but as soon as you put yourself out there, I think you just have to show up and be who you are, right? Everyone says it, just say if you're new. If you just say, hey, I'm new here, nobody cares. Everyone's going to be extra nice to you and bring you in. Just say that. And I think that opens a lot of doors. But it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to connect on this huge level. Just find one or two people to connect with to start building your community. I don't know. That's what brought me some confidence.
That's awesome.
And see if it's the same experience for you. But the people that I learned with years and years ago, I'm still, we're still in contact all the time. We're still, exchanging ideas and things. And some have moved on to other things and others are still in business, but we still keep in touch and we still talk about like, oh, do you remember 2009 when we had that class? Years and years and years ago. And they're lifelong friendships.
Yeah. It's funny, you go on social
that.
media and like, you talk to your personal friends, like, who's that person? Oh, they're in Alabama. What do you even do? Like, it becomes a different world for you, right? And you get sucked into it and that world becomes part of you. And I think it's really cool. And it's exciting to have someone new kind of walk through their journey and see where they're at today, and we'll check in, I'm sure, in the future, and we'll be bringing some of the things on here that Candace has brought up. One of the questions regarding non-performing assets and whatnot. You have to be mindful what you like, but you also have to be mindful of what is well priced. What does well priced mean? We say go based on your desired return and back into it. So if you're looking for an X return with all your expenses and income, what's your best purchase price and what is selling right now? Non-performing notes are expensive right now, right? Because of the fact that demand is high and supply is somewhat low right now, but it's going to start peaking right now, right? Things are starting to change. We're watching ARMs real closely to see how many ARMs are created now, because ARMs were one of the big factors of 06, 07, 08. So we need to look at that kind of stuff. But yeah, non-performing notes are high priced, but granted, go buy an REO. What are you paying for that? If you're in real estate and you're looking for an REO, you're paying retail, right? You're paying 95. So yes, they're expensive compared to before, but when me and Nathan bought it in 2010, 2011, they're never going to get that price again, right?
No.
So it doesn't mean we're not going to buy. We're just going to be very strategic of what we're buying and how to make things happen.
Yeah.
So good question on that. So Nathan, I don't think people heard you before, so I'm sure it'll be on the recording on YouTube, or you can watch this on the YouTube channel, which will have all the audio. We record this on Zoom. Nathan announced he has a big announcement that he'll be launching publicly next week. Nathan.
Yeah. So
a drum roll, but
finally last week, after extensive search, we finally nailed down location and time for the Diversified Mortgage Expo, which is coming up June 2nd and 3rd in Nashville, Tennessee. We'll be at the Hilton by the airport. And that's very exciting. It's a beautiful location, 20 minutes from downtown if you want to get downtown Nashville and go see the sights and everything else. But if you want to stay near the airport, that's fine too. Come the day before, we're going to do a big axe throwing tournament. So we'll have an axe throwing DME champion, trophy in the whole 9 yards. So if you're participating in it, awesome. If you're not, it's a fantastic networking activity. You can come and meet some people and have some fun. And
yes, Debbie, June 2023.
Yeah, June 2023, 2nd and 3rd. So mark your
Don't go to the
calendars.
website yet. This isn't public. He's letting us all know before he got actually officially launched. So
it's coming.
Yeah.
I just got home, guys. Give me a break.
Yeah.
I gotta update it. It'll take me a minute.
Before we wrap up, what Nathan just said reminds me of something that I think will help anyone who's new. The first conference I went to, I said who I was. I said I'm new. I asked some questions, but honestly, almost every conversation I had was on the personal level. So when you say, it's a great networking and social activity, that's, if you're nervous about the business side, or you're like, I don't know how to have these conversations, just get to know people. Where do you live? What do you do? That's where everything started to build for me. And then I know that unless you're listening later, if you were listening at the beginning, Dave just mentioned how it's a small space, and we have friends and colleagues from all over. And I know that you brought up, the hurricane and how it's really impacted.
Please.
Yeah. I think you posted today the video of flooding in front of the resort that you and I were at 5 days ago.
Last week. Yeah.
Yeah. And, definitely on my mind, if you don't have friends in Florida, you definitely have business associates and colleagues there. And I think I'm going to do a post in the next week or two on some resources of how it's going to be easy to help some people get back on their feet when needs become apparent. So if you don't like to do that sort of legwork, let me know, and I'll be happy to send you an email or tag you on my post. I hope we all give generously to the things that we care about. And, we've all got a lot of friends down there in Florida and on the Southeast.
And I said earlier, I know it's muted, but if anyone is affected by that or know someone affected and there's something we can do to help, please reach out to us. We'll do our best to help you, connect you with something or whatever. And we'll do our best to help you out down there. But yeah, it's devastating to see what we see from afar, right? We're not affected directly, but we all can feel for what's going on down there. It's not comforting. So please make sure if you have connections or issues down there and we can help, please reach out to us and whatnot, which is great.
In the
But-
meantime, please be safe.
Yes,
Just so everything's
smart.
going okay.
But we're gonna wrap it up there. Again, if anyone is interested in the 5-week course, we'll be bringing it up again, I'm sure. October 25th, Tuesday night, 8:00, we'll be starting. You can go to our website and check that out. That's a really, really cool thing that Candace and Lorraine brought up to us in Vegas, and we're really excited about bringing it up. Again, a lot of the resources we'll be sharing with that will be unseen before, statute of limitations, debt license stuff, things that we've never shared before. We'll be part of that group, bring a partner half off. But the homework to us in the networking will be the biggest part. That you're really going to have homework every single week, and you're going to have to bring it before class. And that will challenge you to actually pretend it's a note you're looking at, as well as connecting with others who are part of that group and continue to network with them so that and they know that you're in it together.
Yeah.
So
We'll collaborate together so we can all learn at the same time. Excited
Awesome.
to do that.
Well, Candace, I appreciate you joining us on this Friday afternoon, or a little earlier for you, but it was great seeing you last week. It's great seeing you again here. We hope that we're able to answer any kind of questions that people had. If they feel that you reach out to, feel free to reach out to Candace online, send her a message, hit her up on Facebook and everything else.
Awesome. I think she's
All right.
frozen, but
Oh no, guys, at least we got an end smile from her.
there you go.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We will
Thanks,
talk to everyone
everybody.
soon.
Yeah, that's great.